Got the stuff?
Yeah.
Let's see it. Radio.
It's not just the radio. It's what's on it. Listen.
You are not powerless.
Here it is.
You know, it irritates me when I hear the sense of powerlessness among the American people. What makes you think that you are any lesser than the shady politicians in Washington? You are more powerful than them. If you look at the Constitution, if you look at the Bill of Rights, or whatever, you are the bosses of them. They have no control over you unless you give them the power to have control over you. That's it. Be educated.
Officer 24, we had another encounter here. Someone tried to get their hands on a controlled substance.
What? Drugs? Alcohol?
No. Sense.
How things work.
Making trouble by making sense. Welcome to Making Sense with Rob Case. Good day, folks, and welcome to Making Sense with Rob Case. I am your host, Rob Case. This is our first radio broadcast, our first internet media outreach, I should say. And before we head into today's subject matter, I want to spend a little time telling you what we are about, what we are trying to achieve, a little bit of our history, and a little bit of our future goals. I have been interested in television, radio, movies, etc. for a long time. In the 1990s, I made some homemade feature movies, television shows, and comic books. In the late 90s and 2000s, my interest in film grew, and an interest in radio emerged. I love talk radio. I listened to it for years, called into talk radio programs, and even made my own at home, of which this is a product of. I went to school, worked for Open Road Radio, a motorcycle talk radio program featuring Gina Woods on WCKG-FM in Chicago. So, as you get yourself more acquainted with me in this program, I think that an interest will evolve as to the more deeper details of our rich history. At the moment, I don't necessarily see the value of having you sit through the entire history of a brand that you are just now getting acquainted with, as it normally, takes for a relationship to develop before any deep interest in anyone's particular past emerges. When people just meet each other, they don't go into sharing their life's histories with each other until after they've established a relationship with that person. So, in that spirit, I'm going to spare you our entire life history until you get to know us a little bit more. What you see on your screens as you listen to the audio of this program is the web address to the Making Sense message board. In 2004, I started it as a forum to talk about the things most interesting to me, and on issues of the day, in which it encourages debate, informs people, and retrieves insight from others whose dissenting opinions would either put my beliefs to the fire of detailed examination or allow me to recognize my errors and prompt me to set me straight. If my beliefs were put to the fire and prevailed, I would know that the positions I held were solid. If I was set straight, it was because truth that may have not otherwise been brought to my attention through the input of someone else encouraged me to open a new avenue of understanding that I felt necessary to pursue so as to build a substantial reputation of credibility to my readers and listeners who seek value in the advice and information that I give to them. My church, High Road Bible Church in Lockport, Illinois, has been a great encouragement. The leadership of Pastor Tim Ratliff and the leading members of High Road Bible Church have encouraged me to grow spiritually, use the gifts God has given me to teach others, and grow even more solid in my own faith. I thank the Lord for them, as He has given me the gift of their love, encouragement, and support. It is a small church, a very small church, but it has the biggest heart that I've seen in a church ever. Our goals here are simple. We like to inform people on how things work, introduce them to the function of basic things and how they can be helped or hurt. I can't stand ignorance, especially on matters that affect our livelihood. If there's one thing that bothers me, it is someone who is ignorant of how things work. When someone is ignorant, they are vulnerable and more likely to fall for propaganda. And the result is, I get cheated. You get cheated. We get cheated because the ill-informed and misinformed are canceling out the votes and dissent of the well-informed and knowledgeable. That really makes me angry. So one of my purposes is to fix that, or do my best trying. Another goal is to resurrect the context of our American history. I am a deep researcher. I tend to dig deep for the information that I discuss. Too many times I find that information critical to preserving our freedoms are purposely withheld or withdrawn from the school system, the news media, and even churches who feel politically threatened by telling the truth. I seek to reverse that. Another goal is to call things for what they are. Effective communication assists in achieving this goal. If someone can grasp truths that may be perceived as complicated and then transferred in a simple, easy-to-understand form, then the person doing the transferring is a good teacher. One of my goals is to be a good teacher. The last goal I'm going to talk about before I begin is exposing the nature of the human heart. People's attitudes never change, or they rarely change. I like to see more change in the human heart. The human heart only goes in one direction, and that direction has been taken far too much for far too long. The human heart has gone the same old route for millenniums, centuries, decades, years, months, weeks, days, hours, minutes, and seconds. The way of the heart is me, myself, and I, and harmful, destructive things have resulted from that. If any function is corrupted, it is usually a result of selfish ambition. Now, I'm not talking about self-interest, in the sense of survival needs. I'm talking about selfish ambition. And selfish ambition usually tries to feed one's power, one's ego, one's own pride. Usually those three attributes that I just mentioned usually aren't vital for survival, but usually vital if they want to seek control over somebody else. And hopefully, I'll be able to expose that and hopefully get you to understand that, so that when it comes your way, and when it comes your way and my way, I'll be able to prevent that. Hopefully that'll tide you over for the moment. When we come back, I want to discuss with you what I believe is one of the biggest challenges of our day, where our country is headed, and what I think can be done to try and prevent it from sinking into sunset. We'll be back in just a moment.